I died, choking on my own blood, the metallic tang flooding my mouth as my husband's hands clamped around my throat like a vice forged in hell. The last thing I saw was his face, twisted in that fake concern he'd perfected over our 5-year marriage, whispering, "It's for the best.
Naturvidenskabelig.
You'll thank me one day." But there was no afterlife waiting. No pearly gates or fiery pits, just a void that spat me back out. Gasping awake in my old queen-sized bed, the sheets tangled around legs that hadn't felt this young in years. It was the morning of our 5th anniversary, the day everything started unraveling in my first life. And now I knew this was my second chance to bury them all alive. My name's Natalie Harper, or it was before I became Natalie Voss, hitched to the golden boy of Silicon Valley. Back then, in that first go-around, I'd woken up to roses and champagne. Mark's signature move to butter me up before dropping the bomb. Today, as the California sun sliced through the blinds of our Palo Alto McMansion, I lay there staring at the ceiling fan whirring lazy circles, my heart pounding like a war drum. The clock reads 7:15 a.m., same as always. But my mind? It was a hurricane of memories, the affair he'd hidden for months, the forged documents siphoning my inheritance into a startup slush fund, and the final betrayal, pushed down those stairs by his mother, Evelyn, while Mark watched from the shadows, his alibi airtight. I sat up, the silk nightgown clinging to my skin like a ghost's embrace. My hands trembled as I touched my neck, smooth, unmarked, no bruises blooming like rotten plums. 42 years old in my last breath, but here I was, 37 again, body taut from the yoga classes I used to fake enthusiasm for. The mirror across the room reflected a woman with wide hazel eyes and chestnut waves that Mark always called his lucky charm. Bullshit. They were my weapons now. Downstairs, the coffee maker gurgled like it was mocking me. I descended the stairs slowly, each creak a reminder of where I'd shatter my spine in Act 2. The kitchen island gleamed under recessed lights, a spread of croissants and fresh-squeezed OJ waiting like bait. Mark was there, scrolling his phone in his boxer briefs, that boyish grin plastered on like it was permanent. Morning. Gorgeous. Big day ahead, dinner at the club. Then, maybe a little celebrating. His voice was honey over gravel, the same tone he'd used to propose on a yacht in Monterey Bay. I forced a smile, the kind that didn't reach my eyes, and poured myself a cup. Black. No sugar, always. "Can't wait," I said, my voice steady as a surgeon's scalpel. Inside, rage simmered, hot and viscous. In my first life, I'd played the doting wife, ignoring the late nights at the office, the lipstick stains on collars I bleached away like sins. My family's fortune, old money from Chicago steel mills, had bankrolled his tech dreams. Voss Innovations, they called it now, a unicorn sucking venture capital like a vampire. But I discovered too late, every cent traced back to me, laundered through shell companies his parents helped set up. Evelyn and Harold Voss. God, how I hated saying their names even in my head. Evelyn, the ice queen of the PDA and country club board, with her Botox-smooth forehead and pearls that screamed old money envy. Harold, the retired banker who'd advised Mark on every shady deal, his walrus mustache twitching over lies like a bad poker tell. They'd hated me from day one, the Chicago interloper who dared to outshine their precious son. "She's too independent," Evelyn had hissed at our wedding rehearsal, loud enough for the florist to blush. Independent? Try self-made. My parents died in a car wreck, when I was 25, leaving me the estate and a trust fund that could have bought their entire gated community twice over. That anniversary brunch was the pivot. In Timeline 1, Mark confessed over mimosas. Nat, I love you.
But
There's someone else. We need to end this amicably. Amicably. The word still made me want to vomit. I'd signed the papers in a daze, waiving alimony because family first. Then came the eviction notice from Evelyn, claiming the house was Voss property, some bullshit about a quitclaim deed I'd supposedly signed in my sleep. Turns out, they'd forged it, backdated to our wedding night. I fought it in court, but they buried me in legal fees, painted me as the gold digger divorcee unraveling. The stress triggered a fall down the stairs during a mediation session at their house. Accidental. The coroner ruled. Heart attack from the trauma.
yeah, right. Now,
As Mark nuzzled my shoulder, planting a kiss that tasted like deceit, I pulled away just enough to gauge his reaction. Confusion flickered in his blue eyes, perfectly spaced for those TED Talk headshots. Everything okay, babe? He asked, setting down his phone. I met his gaze, letting the silence stretch like a noose. Peachy, I replied, then added, casual as California weather. Hey, remember that deed we filed for the house? The one putting it solely in my name? It was a lie, a probe. In reality, the title was joint, but I'd always wondered if pushing for sole ownership early might have saved me. He blinked, recovering with a chuckle. Of course. Smart move protects the asset.
lies.
But the micro-twitch in his jaw told me he was already recalculating.
Good.
Let the games begin. By noon, I was in the home office, the one Mark called his war room, but I'd commandeered for my freelance graphic design gigs. Laptop open. I dove into the digital vaults I'd cracked in my dying days, hacked emails, encrypted drives. The affair was with his COO, a leggy redhead named Tessa who'd started as my gal pal at book club. Emails dripped with pillow talk. Nat's clueless. But her money's the real MVP. Then the Voss parents, Harold's spreadsheets detailing offshore accounts, Evelyn's texts plotting the forgery. Push her out clean, or we lose the house to that bitch's heirs. My fingers flew over the keys, downloading everything to a thumb drive hidden in my sock drawer. No more playing nice. I called my old lawyer, Elena, a pitbull from the Bay Area who tried to warn me in Timeline 1. Natalie, it's been ages. What's up?
Elena,
I need a consult. Hypothetical divorce scenario. I spun a tale laced with just enough truth to hook her. By the time I hung up, I had a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, off the books. Cash only. Paranoia? Maybe. But in this life, trust was a luxury I couldn't afford. Afternoon brought the first Voss incursion. Evelyn called, her voice a saccharine blade. Darling, brunch tomorrow? Just the girls. Mark mentioned you're feeling under the weather. Under the weather. Code for we smell blood. I demurred, citing a migraine. Rain check. Evelyn. Love to.
click.
Then I texted Mark, heading to the spa. Need some me time. A white lie to buy space. As I slipped into yoga pants and a hoodie, grabbing my keys, the plan crystallized. Step 1. Secure the deed. A quick stop at the county recorder's office in Redwood City. If they hadn't forged it yet, and from the timeline, they hadn't, I'd make it ironclad. Sole ownership, irrevocable. The drive down 101 was a blur of Teslas and tech bros on e-bikes. The Santa Cruz mountains looming like judgmental gods. At the office, a harried clerk named Maria stamped my request. Joint to Seoul? Hubby's on board. Absolutely. I lied, flashing a smile that could have sold ice to penguins. By 4 p.m., it was done. The house, their dream asset, appraised at $3.2 million, was mine. No quitclaim needed, just a quiet transfer, backdated if I played dirty. But I wouldn't. Not yet. Let them dig their own graves. Back home, Mark was on a Zoom call, pitching to VCs. I eavesdropped from the hallway, catching fragments, user growth exploding. Wife's inheritance seated us.
Wife's.
Not our. My blood boiled, but I channeled it into dinner prep steak au poivre, his favorite, laced with just enough cayenne to make him sweat. That night, as we tangled in sheets that smelled of lavender and lies, I faked moans and whispers, my mind light years away. I love you, he murmured post-climax, arms slung heavy over my waist. I know, I whispered back, staring into the dark. In the morning, the real anniversary dawned. Dinner at the Silicon Valley Country Club, where Evelyn and Harold held court like feudal lords. I go,
Smile.
sip Chardonnay. But this time, I dropped the first bomb. As sleep finally claimed me, the void whispered, make it hurt.
Nat.
Make them beg. The country club dining room was a shrine to excess, crystal chandeliers dripping like stalactites over linen-draped tables. The air thick with aged scotch and whispers of IPO rumors. I arrived fashionably late, gliding in on Louboutins that clicked like countdown timers on the marble floors. Mark waited by our reserved table, fidgeting with his Rolex, a gift from Harold on his 30th. There she is, he said, pulling out my chair with that performative chivalry. Evelyn and Harold flanked him, Evelyn in a sheath dress the color of congealed cream, Harold nursing a bourbon neat. Happy anniversary, dears, Evelyn cooed, air-kissing my cheeks. Her perfume was cloying, like funeral flowers. Harold grunted approval, eyes appraising me like livestock. You look radiant, Natalie. Mark's a lucky man. Luck's mutual, I replied, settling in with a smile sharp as shattered glass. The sommelier poured Veuve Clicquot, bubbles fizzing like suppressed rage. Small talk flowed. Mark's latest funding round. Evelyn's charity gala for underprivileged coders' kids. I nodded along, fork spearing seared scallops, mind mapping their weak points. In Timeline 1, this meal ended with Mark's confession in the valet lot, me sobbing into a napkin while they comforted him inside. Tonight, I'd flip the script. So, Natalie, Harold boomed, wiping his mustache. Heard you're thinking of expanding the design firm. Any big clients on the horizon? I sipped my flute, letting the pause build tension. Actually,
Yes.
but it's more about protecting what we've built. Mark and I had the deed updated today. House is in my name now. Sole and clear. No more joint liabilities if his startup tanks. I dropped it like a grenade. Casual. Watching the ripples. Mark's fork froze midair. Scallops tumbling back to porcelain.
What, babe?
We didn't, that's great. But why the rush? His laugh was forced.
A bark that didn't land.
Evelyn's Botox mask cracked. Just a fraction. Eyes narrowing to slits. Sole ownership? Darling.
That's.
Unconventional. Family assets should stay intertwined. Intertwined, I echoed, tasting the word like bile. That's what I thought too, until I reviewed the paperwork. Turns out, there's some discrepancies in the original filing. Little errors. You know, better safe than sorry. Lies wrapped in truth. The discrepancies were their forgeries, but I wasn't ready to gut them open. Not here. Amid the clink of silverware and jazz trio crooning Sinatra. Harold cleared his throat. That banker rumble. Errors? What kind of errors? We can have our attorney look into it, pro bono. Of course. Appreciated. But Elena's handling it. Elena Vesquez. My shark. The name hung in the air like tear gas. Mark shifted, knee bouncing under the table. I pressed my heel against his shin, subtle, affectionate from the outside, a warning from within. The mains arrived, rack of lamb for the men, my salmon glistening under herb butter. Conversation veered to safer waters, Evelyn's latest Botox evangelizing, Mark's vision for AI ethics. I played along, laughing at their jokes, but my phone buzzed discreetly in my clutch, a text from Elena. Deed filed. Ironclad.
Call tomorrow.
Phase 1 complete. Dessert was tiramisu, dusted with cocoa like fresh snow on a grave. As the waiter cleared plates, Mark excused himself for a quick call, vanishing toward the lounge. Opportunity knocked. I leaned toward Evelyn, voice low. You know,
Ev.
I've been meaning to ask that quitclaim you mentioned last month, the one for estate planning. I never saw it. Her pearls seemed to tighten around her neck. Quitclaim? Must have been a mix-up.
Dear.
Harold handles all that drudgery. But her fingers drummed the tablecloth. A tell I'd cataloged in therapy sessions she never knew about. Harold jumped in, jovial mask slipping. Nothing to worry your pretty head over, Natalie. Just hypotheticals. Hypotheticals, I mused. Like hypothetically forging signatures? Or hypothetically siphoning funds from a spouse's trust. The words landed soft, but the room temperature plummeted. Evelyn's face drained of color. Harold's bourbon glass hovering forgotten. What are you implying? Evelyn hissed, glancing around for eavesdroppers. The jazz swelled, covering us like a shroud. I smiled, all teeth. Implying? Nothing. Just tying up loose ends before baby Voss number 2. The lie was a masterstroke. Mark had begged off kids. Citing, timing, but planting the seed? It humanized me, made me untouchable maternal icon in their status-obsessed world. Mark returned then, oblivious or feigning it, sliding into his seat with a grin. VCs are eating it up. Could close the round by week's end. We toasted, glasses chiming like breaking bones. But under the table, his hand gripped my thigh, possession or plea. I let it linger, then excused myself to the ladies' room. In the marble-clad sanctuary, mirrors reflected a woman reborn, cheeks flushed not from wine,
but war.
I splashed water on my face, rehearsing the next move. Back in Timeline 1, I'd ignored the red flags, the locked desk drawer, the Voss family retreats in Tahoe where deals were sealed sans me.
Now,
armed with foreknowledge, I'd dismantle them brick by brick. The valet fetched my Audi, Mark's Tesla purring beside it. As we drove home through fog-shrouded streets, he probed gently. The deed thing. You sure about that? Pops might take it personal. Let him, I said, eyes on the road. It's business, Mark. Our business. He chuckled uneasily, radio filling the silence with some indie playlist I'd curated. At home. He crashed early, stress dreams. He mumbled. I didn't sleep. Instead, I slipped into his office. The one with the hidden safe behind the Rothko print. Combination. Our wedding date. Pathetic. Inside, flash drives, ledgers, a burner phone with Tessa's number etched in Sharpie. I photographed it all, heart racing like a sprinter's. The affair texts were gold. Miss you. Nat's out tomorrow, your place? Timestamped 2 days from now.
Perfect.
Dawn broke gray and drizzly, matching my mood. Elena's office in San Jose was a fortress of glass and steel, her waiting room stocked with dog-eared law journals. She hugged me like an old sorority sister. Hypothetical my ass.
Spill.
Over espresso. I laid it out, not the death. Not the rebirth. Just the suspicions. Forgery. Embezzlement. The works. Her eyebrows arched like suspension bridges. If half this is true, you could bury them. But Natalie, divorce is war. You ready to go nuclear? Nuclear, I echoed, the word tasting like ash and triumph. Sign me up. By lunch, we had a strategy, asset freeze petition, forensic accounting subpoena. I'd play the wounded wife publicly, the avenging angel privately. Mark texted mid-meeting, lunch at Blue Bottle? Miss you. I replied, swamped.
Love you.
The hypocrisy burned sweet. Afternoon brought the first crack in their facade. Evelyn showed up unannounced, bearing a quiche from the club baker like a peace offering. Just checking on my girl, she said, breezing into the kitchen. I let her, watching as she eyed the mail stack, Elena's envelope peeking out. Everything all right with the house? Dear? Harold's worried you're stressed. Stressed? I laughed, slicing the quiche with deliberate strokes. Why would I be? Unless someone's plotting an eviction post-divorce. Her flinch was microscopic,
but there.
We chatted surface-level gossip about the neighbor's pool boy scandal until she left, promising girls' day soon. That night, Mark came home wired, pacing the living room. Babe, we need to talk about the deed. It's freaking out my parents. What if we reverse it? Keep it joint. Like a team. Team. The word ignited something primal. I crossed my arms, channeling every rom-com heroine who'd ever wised up. Team? Like how you've been teaming up with Tessa behind my back. His face went the color of bad news. Tessa? What the? That's insane. She's just a colleague. I pulled out my phone, swiping to the photo of the burner. Colleague who gets late-night texts. Save it. Mark. I know everything. The fight erupted like a fault line. Accusations flying. Glasses shattering against the fireplace. He denied. Deflected. Then begged. It's a mistake.
Nat.
I love you. The company's everything. Everything except me. I finished. Voice steel. By midnight, he was on the couch. I and the master, plotting. Tomorrow, confront Tessa. Twist the knife. Sleep came fitful. Dreams of stairs and shadows. But morning brought clarity. This wasn't just revenge, it was reclamation. The Vosses had stolen my life once. Never again. Tessa's loft in Soma screamed millennial minimalism, exposed brick. Edison bulbs swinging like pendulums over a kitchen island scarred from too many charcuterie boards. I'd driven there straight from a spin class. Alibi for Mark. Endorphins for me, parking my Audi curbside amid food trucks hawking poke bowls to hungover techies. It was 10 a.m., the fog still clinging to the Bay Bridge like a guilty secret. I buzzed her intercom, without preamble. Natalie Voss. We need to chat. Silence. Then the click. She appeared at the door in silk pajamas. Red hair tousled like she'd just rolled out of my husband's bed, which, per the text, she had last Tuesday.
Net. Hi.
This is unexpected. Her smile was all teeth and no warmth. Green eyes darting like cornered prey. Mind if I come in? Or should we do this on the stoop for the neighbors? I pushed past, heels echoing on concrete floors. The place reeked of patchouli and privilege, abstract art on walls, a peloton gathering dust. She closed the door, arms crossed over her braless chest. What's this about? I tossed my bag on the couch, pulling out the printed texts. They fluttered to the coffee table like confetti at a funeral.
This.
And this. More photos. The burner. The offshore transfers linking Voss funds to her consulting LLC. Her face cycled through denial.
Shock.
Fury. You're spying on Mark? That's psychotic. Psychotic, I repeated, circling her like a shark in chummed waters. Says the homewrecker laundering embezzled cash. Tessa, you're not the brains here, you're the pawn. Evelyn's pulling strings. Isn't she? The concerned mother-in-law act. Feeding you intel on my schedule. She deflated onto a stool, rubbing temples. It's not like that. Mark loves me.
You're
holding him back. The company's his dream. And you're this anchor with your old money bullshit. Anchor. The word stung, echoing Evelyn's wedding jabs. But I leaned in, voice velvet over venom. Dream? Built on my dime. My parents' steel mills didn't melt down for his ego trip. Sign this. I slid over a non-disclosure, Elena's draft. Ironclad. Testify against them in the divorce. Details on the affair. The funds. Walk away clean. Or I drag you into court as accomplice. Her eyes widened. Calculating. You'd ruin me. I'd ruin everyone who touched me. Pause for effect. Including the baby I'm carrying. Another lie. But it landed like a gut punch. She blanched, signing with shaky hands. By noon, I had her affidavit, notarized at a nearby UPS store. Phase 2. Crack the inner circle. Back home, the McMansion felt like a stage set, props of domestic bliss masking rot. Mark was in the garage, tinkering with his Porsche, radio blasting Springsteen. I watched from the doorway, the sun slanting gold through eucalyptus leaves. We need to talk, I called. He wiped grease from his hands, that boyish grin faltering. About last night?
Net.
I swear. Save the swears. I handed him a manila envelope, divorce papers, Elena's masterpiece. Uncontested grounds, infidelity,
Fraud.
assets split 70-30 my favor, including the house and half his stock options. Sign it. Or I go public with everything. The affair. The forgeries. Tessa's little LLC. He snatched it, scanning pages, face crumpling like cheap origami. This is blackmail. You can't, we're married. Vows.
Net.
Vows you broke the day you fucked her in our bed. The image hit me fresh, me walking in during Timeline 1's endgame. Sheets twisted, their laughter dying like a snuffed candle. Sign. Or the VCs hear about the irregularities in funding. Your unicorn pops. Mark.
Poof.
He raged then, hurling a wrench that clanged off the workbench. You bitch. You think you can just after everything I gave you? Gave me? The delusion was almost comical. I stood firm, channeling every Lifetime movie scorned wife. Everything you stole. You mean? I laid it out, the trust fund drains, the Voss-led shell games. His denials crumbled under evidence screenshots, bank statements. By dusk, he signed, shoulders slumped like a defeated prizefighter. I still love you, he muttered. Defeated. Love's a scam, I replied, pocketing the papers. Get out. He packed a duffel that night, Evelyn arriving like a storm cloud to mediate. She swept in, forestalled despite the mild evening, eyes blazing. This is absurd. Natalie. Mark's distraught. We can fix this, family therapy. Perhaps. Family? I laughed, blocking the stares. Your family's a cartel. Eviction plots. Forgeries, I have it all. Leave. Or, I call the cops on the trespass. Harold lumbered in behind her, face thunderous. You ungrateful tramp. That house was our investment. Your forgery. I cut in, waving my phone. Recorded. Of course. Elena's tech guy had set it up that morning. Trespass now. Felony later.
Out.
They left sputtering, Mark trailing like a whipped dog. The door slammed, echoing finality. Alone, I poured scotch neat, like Harold, and toasted the empty room. To second chances. But victory tasted hollow. Flashes of my death intruded, Evelyn's hands shoving. Mark's averted eyes. The crack of skull on oak. No, not yet. The real war was public. Next morning, I filed. The petition hit the dockets like a meteor, Palo Alto whispers ignited. By lunch, my phone buzzed with texts from friends. Heard about Mark? OMG. I ignored them, focusing on the media play. A tip to the Mercury News. Tech mogul's wife alleges fraud in bitter divorce. But juicy, affair details. Voss family ties. The backlash was swift. Evelyn's charity circle unfriended me en masse. Mark's LinkedIn lit up with support posts painting me the villain. Clingy wife sabotages husband's empire. I let it burn, knowing Elena had counters. Restraining order against harassment. Leak of the forgeries to regulators. Midweek. The confrontation I'd craved. Harold cornered me at the grocery, Whole Foods. Of all places. Amid kale and kombucha. Natalie, he growled, blocking the cheese aisle. This ends now. Drop the suit. Or we bury you in countersuits. Slander. Extortion. Extortion? I wheeled my cart past, voice pitched for the soccer moms nearby. Like faking deeds to steal a woman's home? SEC's interested. Harold. Your banks, too. His mustache quivered. You have no proof. I smiled, scanning Gouda. Try me. As he stormed off, I felt the shift. Power tilting. Irreversible. But doubts crept in that night. Wine bottle half empty on the counter. Was this revenge or madness? Reborn. Yes, but scarred. Therapy in Timeline 1 had called it PTSD. Now, it fueled me. I texted Tessa, your statement's gold. Stay strong. An ally, however tenuous. Friday brought the hearing, preliminary injunction on assets. The courthouse in San Jose hummed with clerks and caffeine. Mark slouched at the defense table, Evelyn's hand on his like a claw. I took the stand, voice steady. They planned to evict me post-divorce, using forged documents. I have emails, affidavits, proof of betrayal. The judge, a no-nonsense Latina with salt and pepper hair, peered over bifocals. MS. Voss. This is grave. Bailiff. Seal the records. Mark's lawyer objected, but it was theater. Freeze granted. Voss accounts locked. Outside, paparazzi swarmed, TechCrunch vultures scenting blood. Natalie, is it true about the affair? I paused, mic'd up. Betrayal comes in many forms. But justice? That's colorblind. Click.
Flash.
Viral by evening. Home alone. The house echoed vast. I wandered rooms, touching heirlooms, my mother's pearl brooch, father's watch. Stolen legacy. Reclaimed. But sleep evaded, nightmares of stairs persisted. Tomorrow, the real twist. I'd uncovered it in the safe, not just fraud, but murder. Not mine, their first wife's accident, buried in Tahoe files. Evelyn's doing. Mark complicit. Leverage or apocalypse? As rain pattered windows, I decided apocalypse.
For them.
The Tahoe files were a Pandora's box of faded Polaroids and dog-eared ledgers, tucked in the safe's false bottom like a dirty secret. I'd found them in Timeline 1. Too late, dismissed as paranoia.
Now.
Under the harsh glow of my desk lamp, they painted a horror show. Mark's first wife, Lila, fell hiking Emerald Bay in '09. Official, accidental slip on wet rocks. But the photos? Bruises blooming on her arms. Evelyn's handwriting in margins. She knew too much. Loose end tied. Lila had discovered the early scams, Harold's bank heists funneled into Mark's first flop startup. She'd threatened divorce. Exposure. Pushed.
Like me.
My hands shook as I scanned them to Elena's secure Dropbox. This wasn't fraud. It was homicide. Cold case. Statute expired. But civil? Manslaughter suits. Wrongful death claims against the estate. The Vosses weren't just thieves, they were killers. Rage morphed to ice. Calculated fury. I'd build the case airtight, then drop it like napalm. Monday dawned muggy. The Bay Area choking on its own ambition. Elena's conference call crackled with urgency. Natalie, this is dynamite. But dangerous, they're cornered animals. We need protection. By 2 p.m., a PI tailed me discreet sedan. Ex-cop named Ruiz. And a gun permit. Rushed through connections. Just in case, Elena said. I nodded. The weight of the Glock in my purse foreign yet fitting. Mark tried reconciliation that week. Flowers. Voicemails laced with sobs.
Net. Please.
The freeze is killing Voss innovations. Investors are bailing. I deleted them, blocking his number. But Evelyn? She escalated. A package arrived. My pearl brooch. Shattered. Note in her looping script. Fragile things break easy. Threat or warning. Ruiz dusted for prints. Hers. Confirmed. The countersuit landed Wednesday. Defamation. Emotional distress. Their lawyer, a slick Harvard shark named Pritchard, spun me as hysterical ex, fabricating scandals for payout. Press ate it up. Headline screamed tech wife's revenge porn. I countered with a presser. poised in a navy sheath, flanked by Elena. This isn't revenge. It's accountability. For Lila Voss. And every woman gaslit into silence. Lila's name detonated. Old articles resurfaced. Her family's Chicago kin, distant cousins I'd traced, called tearful. We always suspected. By Friday, they joined the suit. Amended complaint. $50 million in damages. Voss stock plummeted 40%. Mark's TED invites dried up. Panic set in. Harold cornered Ruiz outside a coffee shop, yelled about vigilantes. Evelyn's gala imploded. Donors fled like rats. And Mark? He showed at the house gates. 2 a.m. Rain-slicked and desperate. Security cams caught it. Pounding the intercom. Slurring. Let me in.
Net.
We can fix this, like before. Before. The word chilled me. I watched from the study, remote in hand, unlocking the gate just enough for him to stumble in. Adrenaline surged. This was the high wire. He burst through the foyer.
Dripping.
Eyes wild. You win. Okay? House is yours. Funds back.
Just.
Drop the murder shit. Mom didn't. Didn't what? I stepped from shadows. Voice echoey in the vaulted hall. Push Lila off that cliff? Or me down the stairs? His face crumpled, guilt.
Raw.
He lunged. Not violent, but grasping. It was an accident. Stress. The fall, she tripped. Liar. I sidestepped. Phone recording. You watched. Both times. He sobbed then, collapsing to knees on Persian rugs. I didn't mean. Dad said it was necessary. For the family.
Family.
The curse word. I loomed over him. Glock heavy in my mind, if not hand. Your family's poison.
Get out.
Or I call 911 for trespass and intoxication. One call ends you. He crawled out, tail between legs. Cops escorted him to a motel. Restraining order expanded. But the wind felt Pyrrhic, sleep fractured by Lila's ghost. Whispering, why me first? Crescendo built that weekend. The deposition. Downtown high-rise. Fluorescent hum. Stenographer clicking like a metronome. Pritchard grilled me. MS. Harper, excuse me? Voss, isn't this vendetta born of jealousy? Your rebirth into victimhood. Rebirth. The irony twisted. I leaned forward, eyes locked. Jealousy? Of a cheating killer?
No.
This is justice delayed. For Lila, who slipped on wet rocks after threatening exposure. For me, who fell during mediation. I slid over the files, photos, notes. Gasps rippled. Pritchard blanched. Evelyn took the stand next. Porcelain cracking. Lies. That girl's death was tragic, but unrelated. Her voice wavered. Sweat beaded despite AC. Harold followed. Mustache limp. Invoking privilege 50 times. Mark? He invoked the 5th on fraud. Crumbling on the affair. It was weakness.
Nats.
Intense. Intense. Code for threat. By adjournment. The judge ordered full discovery. Voss servers seized. Their empire teetered. That night, alone with takeout Thai, I cracked. Tears came, hot and unbidden, for the woman I'd been. Blind and broken. Reborn. Yes, but fractured. Ruiz checked in, quiet tales. They're holding up. Good. Let them fester. Tuesday's raid was poetry, FBI and windbreakers, warrants waving like flags. Voss HQ, a gleaming campus in Mountain View, swarmed. Mark arrested for obstruction, Harold for wire fraud. Evelyn, questioned at the club, pearls snapping under interrogation lamps. I watched from Elena's office, screens flickering with body cams. Her scream pierced. That bitch set us up.
Bitch.
But
Kettle.
by evening, bail set, millions they couldn't touch. The twist I'd planted. Anonymous tip to cold case unit.
L'ILAS accident réopened.
Detectives called. I gave a statement. Tearless. I found the files. It matches my suspicions. Press frenzy peaked. Voss dynasty crumbles. Murder cover-up? My inbox flooded. Book deals. Podcast invites. I declined, focusing inward. The house sold? No, kept. Renovated. My design firm boomed, clients drawn to the resilient widow narrative. But Evelyn's last play came Thursday, a drive-by at dawn. Her Mercedes idling outside. Note on windshield, you'll pay. Blood for blood. Ruiz tailed her to a pier, suicide watch.
No.
Meeting a fixer. I alerted feds, sting set. High noon. Pier 39. Tourists milling. Sea lions barking mockery. Evelyn Metagon, ex-con. Per Ruiz, handing an envelope. Make it look like an OD. The Harper woman. Feds swooped, cuffs clicked. Her wail. For my son.
Son.
Always the excuse. Interrogation video leaked, accidental. Elena swore, Evelyn confessing, Lila. The push me. The plan. She was taking everything. Mark cracked too. Plea deal for testimony. Harold? Heart attack in lockup. Irony thick. Courtroom climax loomed. Trial of the century. Bay Area edition. I prepped. Suits tailored. Resolve forged. But doubt gnawed. Was vengeance hollow? Lila's cousins hugged me post-hearing. For her. Worth it. As gavel loomed.
Istut taller.
Reborn not just to survive, to thrive. The trial opened under a sky bruised purple. San Jose courthouse besieged by satellite trucks and sign-wielding protesters, justice for Lila banners fluttering like vengeful spirits. I'd shed the victim's sheath for armor. Charcoal suit. Hair pinned severe. Hazel eyes, sharpened to blades. Inside. The gallery hummed. Reporters scribbling. Lila's cousins dabbing tears. The Vosses entered in orange jumpsuits. Evelyn's Botox futile against sallow skin. Harold absent, probation heart scare. Mark shrunken. Gaze skittering past me like I was Medusa. Prosecutor Reyes, a firebrand with a justice tattoo peeking from her cuff, open strong. Betrayal isn't just broken vows, it's blood on hands. The Voss family built an empire on lies. Lives stolen, Lila's in 09. Natalie's nearly in 23. Gasps rippled. Evelyn hissed from the dock. My testimony was scalpel work. Measured. Unflinching. I woke up that anniversary morning knowing every detail of their plot. The affair. The forgeries. The stairs. No mention of rebirth. Just instinct. Documents reviewed. Jury leaned in. Pencils flying. Cross-exam? Pritchard slithered. MS. Harper. Isn't your knowledge fabricated? A scorned woman's fantasy. I met his eyes. Voice steady. Fantasy? Try forensics. The bruises on Lila match Evelyn's grip strength, per expert. My fall? Planned. Per emails.
Boom.
The gallery erupted. Judge banged gavel like thunder. Mark's turn gutted me. Not pity, but revulsion. He took the stand. Plea bargain to accessory. Voice cracking. I loved Lila.
Mom.
She convinced me it was mercy.
Ned.
I couldn't let her ruin us. Tears?
Crocodile.
Jurywomen scowled. Men shifted uneasy. Evelyn's defense was delusion. Protecting family, she shrieked.
Pointing at me.
That interloper poisoned my boy. Reyes played the pure tape. Her voice. Cold as Pacific fog. Ordering my hit. Silence fell. Broken only by her sobs. For Mark. Always. Closing arguments sealed it. Reyes. Justice isn't revenge, it's reckoning. Pritchard. A family's private hell. Twisted by greed. Jury deliberated 3 hours. Drinks round bought at the nearest dive. Verdict. Guilty. All counts. Evelyn. Life. No parole. Mark. 25. To life. Eligible in 15. Cheers erupted. I stood numb.
Elena huggjing fierce.
You did it.
Net så vilidenskapelig. Outside.
Chaos. Mike's thrust. Questions barraging. How's it feel? A reporter yelled. I paused. Rain starting to spit. Like exhaling. For Lila. For every woman pushed aside. Flashbulbs popped. I vanished into Ruiz's unmarked car. Aftermath blurred. Appeals denied. Assets liquidated. My cut seeded a foundation for domestic fraud victims. Voss Innovations? Fire sold. Rebranded Sandstain. I moved new house in Marin. Views of waves crashing like applause. Design firm exploded. TEDx invite. Reclaiming power. From victim to victor.
But the twist?
It came months later. Unbidden. A letter. Prison postmark. Mark scrawl.
Ned.
You're right, I was weak. But in the dark here, I see. You didn't just win, you freed me. From them. Forgive?
No.
But thank you. I burned it. Ashes scattering on wind-whipped cliffs. Forgiveness? Not mine to give. Evelyn's end was quieter. Shanken showers.
Suicide per guards.
Karma's poetry. Harold faded in hospice. Unvisited.
Me?
I dated, cautious. A barista named Alex with laugh lines and no skeletons. No rush. Time was mine now. One anniversary eve. I hiked Emerald Bay, Lila's grave marker a simple plaque. Windswept pines sentinel. I laid wildflowers, whispering, rest easy. It's done. Fog rolled in, thick as absolution. Driving back, radio hummed an old Springsteen track, Irony's Wink. I cranked it, windows down, salt air whipping hair. Reborn, revenged, redeemed. The rear view? Empty. Finally. Ahead, horizon endless.
Mine.
Not happy ever after. Real life doesn't script that tidy.
But whole.
Hell yes. And that, in America's grind of betrayals and comebacks, was victory enough.